Well, let's talk now to our business editor, Stephen Carroll, on the programme. Stephen, first of all, the hospitality industry, I mean, it's obviously going to be affected by these figures, or these changes, rather. I mean, what are they saying about this change?
Well, industry groups are disappointed at the extension of the health pass. That means people are going to need one of these COVID-19 passes to be able to access a hotel, a restaurant or a bar from the start of August. But the main message coming from industry groups is that while they're not happy about it, they certainly prefer it to being shut down, which they see as, of course, the much worse option for them. The UNIH group, which represents the hospitality industry, is warning, though, that it doesn't want its staff to become policemen or bouncers, that they'll have to try and enforce this health pass with people as they come to hotels or to restaurants and bars over the month of August. And that's one of their big concerns. They are expecting this to hit earnings. They're saying potentially, the UNIH is saying potentially 2/3 of their customers could be excluded if they're not fully vaccinated at that stage. That's the fear from the restaurant industry at the moment. The main call that this sector is now having is that the government should extend the help, the financial help that these businesses have been given over the period of the pandemic, and in particular the Solidarity Fund, which had given grants of thousands of euros a month to businesses who'd seen sharp falls in their earnings over the past year and a half. That fund currently only covering June and July. They want that to be extended to cover in case there is another drop in their earnings because of this measure in the month of August.
Yeah, let's not forget, of course, Stephen, restaurants, they only reopened in France in May after a long period of closure. I mean, what sort of state is the industry actually in?
I mean, almost 7 months restaurants were closed here in France. They reopened their outdoor spaces on the 19th of May, and progressively indoor dining came back during June. The final restrictions on occupancy in restaurants were only lifted at the end of June. So it really is only 2 weeks that restaurants have had their full business back up and running here. If we look at the data for card payments in France, we can see that there was a big jump in spending in those first few weeks after restrictions were lifted, particularly bars and cafes, seeing a 30% increase in card payment spending. That's compared to 2019. Restaurants, though, had a much slower recovery, again, because of those restrictions that meant they only had indoor dining from early June and full capacity from the end of June. The figures for the first 3 weeks of the month of June were still lower than they were compared to 2019. So those businesses only just returning to normal levels now. And the prospect of being hit with some of their customers being excluded from restaurants is something that's very worrying indeed for those businesses. This is a very important sector in France. It's estimated to be worth around 8% of the economy. That's hospitality in general, so would include the likes of hotels, but also of course, this is a huge employer. There are 1 million people directly employed in this sector, and restaurant owners and the hospitality industry in general has been facing another challenge, and that's a shortage of labour. And of course, workers won't be enticed back into this sector if they fear that it's going to be fragile again for months to come. So a very difficult position for this industry in France now.
Stephen, thanks very much. Stephen Carroll, our business editor there.